Quick question. Have you ever just felt like a disconnection from yourself or from people in general, and you want to go to the one place that you know you always get that connection, but then when you go there, it's not what you thought it was or it's not what it used to be? Yeah. So I recently just went through that and I'm still processing the outcome of that. So, backstory is I've been working so much and putting so much time into building CMS and doing everything on my own. And it's just like work, 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 and non stopping. And I just was starting to feel like a disconnection to myself and to the people around me. And I've been craving and missing that deep, that deeper connection. And so the one place that I've always been able to get that connection is home and family, right? So I haven't seen my family in over 2 years. So we planned a trip, me and my wife, to go back to Nebraska and see my family. And I thought that was going to be the reset that I needed and that I was going to be able to get that connection and come back home and start over and just feel alive again in a sense. But let me just say, nothing prepared me for what actually happened. So, let me take you through the process. A lot happened on that journey. So, a couple weeks ago, we made the trip back home to see my family. And we get there, and we ended up staying with my dad. So, I currently have a boundary set down with my mom. And so, staying there wasn't an option for me. Can visit her and all those things, but just staying there wasn't an option. And so we weren't in a place to fund a hotel room or an Airbnb for a week because we were going to be there for like a few days. So next best thing was to stay with my dad. So we stayed at my dad's and he lives in like it's like a one bedroom place. I mean, it could be essentially two bedrooms, but there's no couch. The only way that you can relax is like on hard kitchen tables or a hard bench outside. There's not a lot of space to just like decompress. And also, slept on an air mattress and it's in the living room and there's no privacy. So, this whole time that we're there, it's just, there's no sense of like just relaxation. Which I've been there before and I've never like stayed with my dad for a long period of time, so that was just a little bit different and it was a little difficult. Um so also my family like the people that I wanted to see all live in different towns. My parents are divorced. They separated when I was younger, around 10. And so they live in different towns which are about an hour apart. And then I have like an aunt and cousins and another aunt that lives in like another town, which is like 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 30 minutes from one, 45 minutes from another location. So it depends on where I'm driving from. From my dad's, though, it's like 30 minutes. Was exhausted by the time I already got there. It was like a 20 plus like 21-hour drive for us. And we did stop halfway through. We stopped at Kansas City to break up the trip, and we got a hotel room there and stayed the night there, and then got back on the road and made that drive to Nebraska. But anyway, so it's just a lot of driving when we get there. In the last 2 years, I have done so much growth, like personal growth, and I just wasn't prepared on how my growth was going to affect my journey and my visit home. And so as I'm there, I just notice this sense of like inside me like I'm not getting what I thought I was going to get. That disconnection, I actually feel more disconnected. And it's because I've done so much growing over the last 2 years and I love my family to death, but they're in a space where I'm no longer in. Um, and that space is, the poverty mindset, the limiting beliefs, the um, you can't change the reality, and it's always got to be a struggle, and the victim mentality and all these things that I like grew up in is still rooted there very strongly. And then you have some family members that if it's the slightest inconvenience for them, they're not going to go out of their way to do anything. And which was very frustrating. I'd asked one to drive to meet me. It was like a 30-minute drive, because honestly, I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I'm really trying to process. I've already felt a disconnection that I was wanting filled by going home. And now that I'm here, I'm not getting that connection either. So that was very hard for me to process. So I'm like, there's a lot of emotions going on inside of me and a lot of things that I'm trying to process. And when I'd asked this person to come to me and they said that they weren't going to drive long distance. I mean, I guess everyone has a different version of long distance, but I drove long distance 20 plus hours to be home. So 30 minutes to me is not a big deal. And maybe it is to them. And maybe that's where I'm not seeing that as I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little biased on that. I don't know. But in that moment though, it really upset me and it brought me back to that feeling of like I'm always the one giving and I'm always the one visiting my family, going out of my way no matter if I'm struggling, or if I don't really have the finances to make the trip back. Like I always figure out a way to do it because family means a lot to me. And it just put me to that space where I'm just like, okay, well, I can't keep giving and giving and giving. And I just hadn't put those boundaries down with my family yet. Some of them, like I did with my mom, but like everyone else I hadn't done that with. And so that was difficult for me because now I'm having to learn that they're just not, they haven't grown. They're in that same space that I grew out of. And it was difficult, honestly. Like, I don't think anybody talks about how difficult it is to go on this journey, this healing journey, and do like grow as a person, and then go back to like for me it was like go back to my family and realize that they're all in that same space and they're not willing to do any growth to get out of that space. And how hard that is. It takes like an emotional toll on you. It did on me. And I'm still honestly trying to process everything that happened on that trip and all the realizations that I've had because it's not the same. And I didn't get that connection that I was hoping for or that was always home. I got the realization that home isn't home anymore. And that's hard. And if you don't know me, I don't do well with always facing my emotions or dealing with them. That is one thing that I've learned on this journey is like I can't ignore the feelings. You have to process them and you have to sit with them and you have to work through them to let them pass. Because if you just bury it, if I bury it and I just let it there, it just festers under the surface and then I'm angry at the world and I'm just walking around with this heaviness. And I don't want to live like that anymore. But as hard as that was, there was good things that came out of too, right? While I was there, I was actually able to have a conversation with my mom and just me and her. I took her out to lunch and we had a conversation and it really opened up the door, I believe, for us to start healing our relationship. We've never had a great relationship and we've kind of just butted heads through my whole life. And I really got more of an understanding of like why things played out the way that they did. I got more context on like her background that I didn't have before. I knew some things, but I didn't know everything. And I'm grown now and I can come from a place of understanding. And so I've also just grown a lot as a person, right? And I've learned how to communicate a little bit better and not always be on the defense because before when my mom and I would try to have a conversation, it would usually end up into an argument and like we just could not have those conversations. But we were actually able to have a great conversation. And through that conversation, I was able to express to her that I didn't feel like she ever loved me as much as she loved my brothers. And as hard as that was to say, I know it was hard for her to hear that, but it also gave me the context of why, because she also grew up in a space where she felt like her mom didn't love her as much as her brothers. And so it's just, that's what was passed down, right? Because we learn from our parents, and if we don't go on that journey and we don't heal from it, we unconsciously will pass things down to our children. And that's what happened. She didn't do it intentionally, and I know that, and I know that she loves me. She just didn't have the right tools and the right support to show me that when I was younger, and it came off that way, right? But this trip gave me the opportunity to have this conversation with her, and it's a conversation that I wouldn't have been able to have if I didn't go on this journey with her, like on this journey. And it just really opened up that door for us to, I think it's going to be the start of our healing journey, and I will share that with you guys along the way that we go and update you on how that's going. Right now I'm still taking time to process. One of the biggest things that came from that is like once I got back home, she did send a message basically stating that she was sorry that she ever made me feel like she didn't love me, and that she like loved my brothers more than she loved me, and that wasn't her intention, and that she hopes that I can forgive her someday. And I do forgive her. I mean, I can understand why things happened, right? And I'm grown, and I can move past it. And for me though, that text was so much more, and I need to express this to her, but I'm taking time to process. And processing this is kind of like sitting here talking to you about it, right? That's how I process things. I write about it, I talk about it out loud. And this is me still trying to process that. So, getting that text was huge. One of the things that I've really just did not like was that I felt like my mom could never take accountability for her actions or the things that she's done without placing blame somebody like somewhere else. So for her to send that text, not to put blame anywhere else, just to take the accountability and say I'm sorry and I hope that you can forgive me and that wasn't my intention, was huge. And that honestly means a lot to me. And I need to express that to her, and I haven't got to that space yet to do that, and I will though. I just have to do it in my own time, but and process it. Like this is me processing. So, anyway, I will keep you guys updated. So, that was one of the good things that happened on that trip. Another thing that happened on that trip, which kind of caught me off guard, was my dad's girlfriend had mentioned to me that she could see the growth that I've done since the last time she saw me, which was like 2 years ago. And so, and that she was proud of me and that she truly just enjoyed being around me. Um, for context, I've done a lot of growth over the last 5 years, but even 2 years ago, I was still kind of in a negative headspace, and I was really still struggling with the negativity and the, I guess, almost like the victim mentality of like, shit just happens to me and there's nothing that I can do, and it's just, it is what it is, right? But I've come a long way to get out of that headspace. So that was great to have somebody notice that, to notice how much work you've put in, because this journey isn't easy and it takes a lot of work. And there's a lot of highs and there's a lot of lows. And so it's great to have somebody notice the work that you've done. And then not only just that, but like we, on our way back home, we stopped to break up the trip a little bit. We stopped at my wife's aunt's house in Missouri. And while we were there, she also had mentioned the same thing to me, and I hadn't seen her in probably about the same time, so 2 years. But she had mentioned basically the same thing in like a different way, but basically that she'd seen growth that I've done over the last 2 years, and that she was proud. And honestly, that just, it feels good to hear, because I've honestly just never been in a space where people could say that they were proud of me, I guess, and notice the growth or the work that I've been doing. And so that just felt great. So that was another great thing about the trip. And then one of the other like biggest realizations that I had before this trip was I've so for context, I got laid off from my full-time job um over a year now. So last year in January, and um we took that as a sign then because I've always known like in my soul that like I don't want to be tied to the traditional sense of having a 9 to 5 job. Like I just feel in my soul that I'm meant for something more than that. And I've just never listened to it. But anyway, I've been on this journey of trying to figure out what that meant. But last year when I got laid off from my full-time job, my wife and I just took that as a sign like, hey, go all in on trying to figure it out what you really truly desire. And trust me, it hasn't been easy. I've tried different things, drop shipping and um SMMA and Etsy stores and like I mean tons of just different stuff. I can't even think of all the things that I've tried. Affiliate marketing, like all these different things, right? But nothing felt good to me. And I was just like, I still just didn't feel it. And then that's when I was like, you know what I'm really passionate about is my journey and getting out of the darkness that I was in and depression and anxiety. And that's what I'm actually truly passionate about. So when I made that realization, that's when I started building CMS, and that's what truly like lights my soul on fire. But doing so, I've I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm just out here trying to figure it out, really, and I'm doing it on my own. And I don't have anybody like to teach me things really, so I'm looking things up, watching videos, trying to learn from people, trying to figure it out, trying to find out what like feels good to me and all these things. But in the noise of all of that over the last, year, I lost my way. And I was just working and grinding and grinding and grinding and like not taking time away to really just feel what it is that I wanted to do. Or just like even just taking a break, really. I just was working nonstop, doing this, trying to figure it out, like the direction, doing the content, doing whatever it is, right? Watching tons of videos and trying to learn and just continuously grinding and grinding. And my wife would tell me all the time that I need to take a break, and I'm like, I don't know how to take a break. I don't know how to not do anything when I'm at home, because if I'm not doing it, it's not getting done. And I'm like, I need to get this going, right? And so I just been working and working and working and working. So the other great thing about taking this trip, long drawn out process, but was it gave me a break from working all the time because I wasn't home and I stepped away. And so doing so helped me realize that I lost myself, and the disconnection that I was feeling is because like over the last few months I've lost myself. I got so caught up in all the noise online about how to structure a video and how to get the most reach and the most views, and oh, you need to do it this way and you need to try this thing, and like I just got so lost in trying to do it right and listening to all these people that I just kind of lost the meaning for myself. And it just wasn't fun anymore. And I lost the goal, my vision, my mission, I guess, in that noise. And so taking this trip helped me take a step back and realize that it wasn't working for me that way. CMS is still here and it's still going to be here. And I'm just going to take a different approach at it. I'm going to do the things that feel good to me, and which is sharing my journey with you guys and sharing the ups and the downs, the challenges that I still have, taking you on that journey of back in 2019 when I hit my first lowest point of like, I can't live like this anymore. Something has to change. And taking you through those moments, taking you through the moment in 2020 where I actually hit rock bottom and really truly set me on this journey, right? And everything that's happened since then, because I've honestly completely rebuilt my life. And I can sit here today and say that like I've done all this work, and while yes, I still have days that are hard and difficult and I feel depressed and there's moments where I still feel anxious, it no longer controls my life. And I no longer have to take medication for it. And it's because of all the things that I've done since then on this journey that's gotten me to this point. And it's not saying that I still don't have moments where it's challenging or hard, because I do. I just shared one with you about the trip and like having the realization that home isn't home anymore and it's a different type of home. And having to learn how to live with that and to process it and how to protect myself and my boundaries when I go back home for a visit now, and not overextending myself, and learning how to put boundaries when I'm at home, and being just honest, about the journey itself. And I really want to show you the journey that I've been on and the path that I've been on, and do it in a way that feels good to me. I'm not trying to structure the video any other way. I'm just speaking from my head and off the top of the dome and what's on my heart. And whatever I feel I want to talk about that day, that's what I want to talk about. That's basically the trip. The trip changed this whole path for me. And I feel excited again. I feel the passion. I feel alive. And I feel like when I go to bed at night and I wake up in the morning, I cannot wait to get back at it and to share with you and to take you on this journey and to have some fun with it. Because at the end of the day, that's what I want. I want to impact lives. I want to help others feel seen in ways that I never felt seen when I was struggling in the dark. And I want to truly make an impact and just have fun while I'm doing it. Because that's what ultimately I feel like life is all about, is creating the life that you're excited for. And I spent so many years living a life and trying to do things the way that I thought my family wanted me to do or society wanted me to do, and I was not living for myself. And I was living in this space where I just felt miserable and depressed all the time. And I just no longer want to live like that. I want to build the life and create the life that I've always dreamed of living, having the impact that I want to have, changing my life, changing the life of my children when I do have children, changing the lives of those that I love, those around me, impacting lives and showing people that maybe you too can get out of that dark space. I spent years of my life in that space thinking that I could never get out of it. And I did. And so basically just taking you on that journey and inspiring. I don't really know where that's going to lead me at the end of this. I don't know. We're just taking it one day at a time. And we're just going to live and have some fun and share along the way. And I hope that you join me on this journey. And I would love to know where you're at and what you're currently struggling with or what lights your soul on fire. And yeah, just have some fun and we're going to do it. And thank you so much for listening to this video. I have more content that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, more wins, more breakthroughs, more challenges, more whatever it is in my life that I'm going through, learning and growing through. So I'm excited to share that with you. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to follow along on this journey, subscribe, follow along, and we're going to have some damn fun while we take you on this journey. So again, thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.